Hi, everybody. Welcome to tonight's program with Coach Menachem Bernfeld on this beautiful Sunday night. Thanks for joining us. Tonight is Shir 185, and we have a special guest, Dr. Doni Hollander, joining us. Tonight's a very powerful program. We'll get into it again. First of all, big shkoyach for all our people that come every week and give us chizik and let people know about it. I say this every week when we start. Not every shir might be negated to you, but if it is, and if it's not, let people know about it. Email to people, let people join, post the flyers, the statuses, so everybody can be part of this tremendous thing. It's a chesichas chaverim, a place to talk through important things that are going on, important things that are happening in Klal Yisrael, and Baruch Hashem, we're Campbell Shalat. If anyone wants to join the WhatsApp statuses, you could do WhatsApp me at 732-314-1710, and I'll send you the link for the community chats. Also posted in the chat box as well. And if you want, you can go to menachembernfeld.com and sign up for his email list. You could also sign up for his all his shiurim and all his things. And every week he sends you out the emails of when the program is, the replays. So you can go there as well. For all the people that are watching this on YouTube, you can click on the subscribe buttons. Every week when Menachem uploads his videos, you can get notified about all the new videos that go up. You can also click on the like button, so me and Menachem can make a lot of money. We appreciate that. I want to thank all the advertising sponsors, the Scoop here in Lakewood, for promoting us here in Lakewood, LA Now, 5 Town Central, and Chayat Kaufman from JCN for promoting us on all the Jewish digital platforms. Again, if anybody's here the first time, every Sunday night, 9:30 at the Zoom ID, different shiurim, different topics, different rabbanim, different therapists. I'm not sure next week, May 26th, should have Reb Shimon Russell, who's been on a few times before. He had some viral worldwide shiurim. He's going to talk about the topic of understanding what crisis chinuch is and how we could implement that with a lot of our kids, even the ones that are not fully struggling, and really get into a deep conversation with that. So please join us next week. And we're going to turn to tonight to Shir 185 to our CEO, Erna Fried, to give us the gematria. Dr. Hollander, first we do a gematria. So you came on Shir 185. We don't know why, but he's going to give us the gematria, and we're going to see why you came on Shir 185.
Shir number 185. Are our children ready for healthy relationships? This entails a very deep understanding, which leads us up to tonight's gematria of 185 is V'hamevin Yovin. Those that acquire a deep understanding will be able to understand.
No? See, that's why you have to wait all this time to come on, just for that.
That's very deep. We'll have to get back to it.
We're going to do tonight's Shir L'Schus, Zech Nishmas, my father-in-law, Todd Miller, whose yahrzeit is actually going to be next week. His name is Tovia Baruch. Ben Baruch Yosef and Som Shavaliya. I'm not sure if all this chizik that people are going to get tonight. Hopefully, it should be a schus for him. And Dr. Hollander knows my father-in-law, so hopefully it's a joint effort. Okay, so we're going to start off first with Coach Menachem. Coach Menachem, the same thing we ask every Sunday night. What are we doing here? Why are we here? No idea. What's the point of the shir? We could be doing other things. Why should we spend our Sunday night here? What are we trying to accomplish tonight?
Great question. Baruch Hashem, we're here, number 185. I want to welcome everyone. Most of you were here before. There's always newcomers. So welcome to another Let's Get Real with Coach Menachem every Sunday nights. And Baruch Hashem, with Labus Yatu Dishmaya, we're here, number 185. We have discussed. I have Dr. Hollander. Very interesting and not an easy discussion. I say Baruch Hashem, the past many years, mental health has come up, we put it on the table slowly, talk about it, because that's always step number one. When somebody sits in their house and they struggle with challenges and they believe they're the only one who has it, and they're in pain, and they don't know what to do, who should they go to, who should they talk to? And sometimes they could be like that for years, thinking that this is what life is all about. And then they say, okay, if this is what Hashem wants from me, then this is. And then slowly, we come onto a Zoom program. And for some reason, you hear people out there who have the same question as you. And you're like, wow, I never dreamt there's somebody else dealing with the same thing. And then you see somebody who deals with this, somebody who does, this is what he does. And he has, maybe some guidance, maybe some ideas, just to make it a little bit easier. And it's amazing. What I say, it's like breathing in some fresh air. You could be sitting in the house, closed windows, and not gone out for a while, maybe Corona, you know, you don't want to go out. Who knows what's going on? And eventually you open up a window, let some fresh air come in. So in a way, that's how mental health after many years. And tonight we're going to discuss a little bit more about it. It's always not an easy topic, but especially what I was thinking is marriage itself. Marriage itself is not an easy thing. Forget about mental illness, even if Baruch Hashem you're healthy and you've had an amazing upbringing and you get married. It's work. It's work. It doesn't, you know, in the beginning it's easier, and once you get comfortable, you gotta get to work. Nobody's the same, and I'm sure we all know about it. Now, putting together marriage and mental illness, talk about that. That could be a big struggle. How to do this? Not easy. Whether our kids are in Shidduchim, how do we know if they're ready? Maybe they struggled. Maybe they're okay now. Maybe marriage is going to help. You know, let's help them get married and let's hope. Hope for the best. I'm sure we're going to hear tonight from Dr. Hollander what it means when you hope for the best. You know, sometimes you try to, you know, not to think about it. But it could be a struggle, especially when kids struggle when they're younger. And then you hope that when they get older, they figure it out, but you're not sure. So talking about any relationship, like we discussed, communication, open communication, understanding the other, it's all skills that we have to learn, listening skills. So talking about for those that when your spouse is having a hard time, you Baruch Hashem learned the skills, but now, wow, why am I having such a hard time? Is it them? Is it me? How do I do this? What I do want to mention is that, on the other hand, we do find that those who have struggles and they do the work, and slowly, eventually, they come out on the other side, they could say that they have, it's a real relationship. They've gone much deeper because they've, you know, they had to go and figure things out. You can't take for granted, you know, I grew up this way and this is how it works, so we're just going to continue. Sometimes kids come in and they challenge us, but when we have a challenge and you can take a deep breath, and instead of running away, maybe workaholic, alcoholic, or everything, running away so I don't have to think about my struggles, you sit down and say, how do I figure this out? Let's go for help. Let's talk about this. And you say, I never looked at it that way. And you start seeing things from different perspective. You start learning and seeing things. And that could take to a relationship to a very deep place, a healthier place, a better place. And that's what we hope, you know, we don't want to leave with a struggle and saying, you know, it's hard, go get the help, but to know that there is some light at the other end of the tunnel. So, a tefillah to Hashem, we should have a lot of siyata d'shmaya with tonight's discussion. And, you know, it is work, and many times people want to avoid it, escape, pretend as if everything is fine. But let's sit down a little bit. Let's talk about it, you know, in a safe space, so that if we do need the help, we know where to go, what to do, and eventually we can get to a better place in Mitzvah Hashem. Thank you.
Coach Menachem, beautiful, beautiful opening. Okay, but just review. We're going to get into it right now. Tonight's shir is called Navigating Marriage and Mental Illness. Are our children ready for healthy relationships? So this is probably, just being very honest, we got a tremendous amount of emails. It's a very important topic. So we really want to discuss it. We're trying to get whatever clarity we could get out of Dr. Hollander. She should know that Dr. Hollander deals with a lot of couples. Actually, I got a call from a couple that he deals with. And my understanding is that Dr. Hollander first dealt with people with mental illness, but then it sort of catapulted his practice more into dealing also with marriages and dealing with that complexity. So he sees it from all angles. So hopefully tonight we'll get a lot of clarity from all angles. Dr. Hollander has PSyD licensed psychologist. He maintains a private practice in Brooklyn, New York. Dr. Hollander received his bachelor's degree in psychology from Torah College, a master's degree in psychology from Forkov Graduate School, and a doctorate degree from Adler School of Professional Psychology. Dr. Hollander completed his externship in various public schools in Chicago and his intern postdoc at the All Family and Children's Services. He wrote his dissertation on how thoughts, attribute style influences one's battling average. one's batting average. Dr. Hollander currently conducts psychology, psychoeducation, neuropsychology, and diagnosis evaluations. He provides individual, couple, and family therapy. Another area that Dr. Hollander works is providing communication skills for couples pre and post marriage. He also consults with schools, residential facilities, and programs for individuals who are duly diagnosed. Another area of Dr. Hollander specializes in treating married couples when one spouse has a psychiatric diagnosis. So, Dr. Doni Hollander, thank you first for coming here tonight, giving us your time, and the floor is yours. Open it up.
Thank you very much for having me, Coach Menachem and Usher. It was a pleasure meeting you. Fantastic. First of all, before we go on, now that I know that the show is Lina Nishmas, Mr. Todd Miller, everyone should know how great Mr. Todd Miller was. Went to WITS back in the days, brings back a lot of memories. We don't have enough time to reminisce, but just the people who are listening in should understand the greatness of Mr. Todd Miller and Rabbi Waxman together as a team, help create WITS and develop WITS. And we have a lot to thank Mr. Todd Miller for everything he did for the boys at WITS. So thank you very much. It was supposed to be able to be on his show when it was for his and Lino Trust for him. This topic of marriage and mental illness is a very, very sensitive topic. But I have to be honest, it's been on my tongue for the last 15 years to talk about. And here we go. So let me start off with share with you a story that shows us the severity of the situation that's going on out there. There's more than one story, but I was told I only have a couple minutes. So we'll have to get back to stories at a different time. A few years ago, I received a phone call from a father, and obviously I'm going to leave out a lot of details. So if any of you are wondering the details, they're left out on purpose. So I apologize. So I might leave out some juicy details, but we got to do that. A few years ago, a father called me up and said that his son is married for a year and a half and his wife is pregnant. And the father wanted to know if I could see his son. His son's starting to show some symptoms. He wasn't waking up. He wasn't functioning. His grooming skills were getting worse. He wasn't going to work. His relationship with his wife was only about the bedroom, had nothing to do with emotional connection. And the wife was starting to get very upset. And of course, unfortunately, led to her saying, I want a divorce. The father called me up and says, what do we do about it? I said, you got to bring your son in. I have no idea what we're talking about. Fine. He brings his son in, and I met the son. And lo and behold, he met every criteria for bipolar disorder. I met him, and I said, but I did a history, and I said to the father and I said to the son, talk to me about what went on when he was 3, 5, 10, 12, 15 years old. They were hemming and hawing, and it kept digging. And finally, the father acknowledged and admitted that his son had OCD at 16 years old. And at 16 years old, he was already non-functioning. And we know that a lot of times OCD could stay as OCD or could morph into other disorders, such as schizophrenia, bipolar, so on and so forth. That's a different conversation. And I turned to the father, and I said to the father in my office, and I was a little strong, I apologize, but this has been dealing with me for 15 years. I said to the father, Mekach Tos, what are you doing? Coach Menachem, it was ridiculous. I turned to the father, was so upset with me. And I said to him, but you knew this going into the marriage that your son wasn't functioning. And now this wife is pregnant. She's married. Why shouldn't she get divorced? The father turns to me and says, I'll do whatever it takes. You want money? I'll give you money. I said, I'm not a rabbi. I can't fix the problems like that. I said to him, I said, we can see what we can do. No problem. We'll continue the evaluation. We'll see if we get the psychiatrist on board. We'll see if we get the therapist on board. No problem. The father then turns to me and he goes, I have a better idea. I said, what's that? He goes, can you meet with my daughter-in-law and convince her to stay married? Coach Menachem, this is one out of thousands of stories I have over and over again. And I'm floored every time where people weren't treated beforehand. And I think this individual happened to have had the potential based on his social skills and his insight and his motivation to want to do what he was a good person, that we could have helped him earlier on and saved him from getting married with these symptoms. This is just one story in a million. And unfortunately, listen, in our society, it's a major goal to marry off our children. We all want that. We all want the best for our children. We all want to marry off our children. But we really have to ask ourselves a question, right? Are our kids really ready to get married? We have to be honest with ourselves. Are our kids ready to get married? What's going to happen when they get married? What's going to happen when they have children? What's going to happen when they have to support a family? What's going to happen when there's more stress going on? It's very, 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 very hard. You know, while the goal tonight really is very simple, I'm starting off, but the goal is very much about making a conversation. We cannot fix everything tonight. We're not going to fix everything. We're just going to share ideas, basically, and we want everyone to be aware. My goal tonight is very, very simple. By 11:30 tonight, or whatever time you guys finish, it's about everyone stirring the pot, calling their rabbanim and asking, what do we do? Calling therapists, what do we do? Calling their spouses, calling their mechun. Let's get together. Let's fix this. Calling a rebbeim. My son has a problem. Let's get together. That's the goal tonight. The goal isn't the fixing. The goal is making people aware and being comfortable and confident in themselves. My kid could get married. He needs help. She needs help. They can get married. Maybe it has to be a little later, maybe with medication. But my goal with everyone who walks into my office is marriage, but marriage in a way where it's successful. So the goal isn't to say this is doom and gloom. This is a starting point where we want everyone to go. I came on here basically so that we can all have a conversation together and stir the pot. I want to hear from Usher. I spoke to Usher a few times before the show. He has a lot to say. I'm looking forward to this give and take. Those who know Usher, he always has something to share. But we have to remember. I'm sorry?
Continue.
Thank you. We have to remember that those with mental illnesses, schizophrenia, bipolar, autism, eating disorders, personality disorders, depression, anxiety, the main theme behind them is they're self-absorbed in their own issue. Think about what marriage is. Marriage is all about giving to the spouses. How can I give to a spouse if I have my own issues? You know, Alfred Adler, who was a psychologist back in the time of Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud, and his big theory was everyone has to be part of society. His way of diagnosing people was, are they a functioning person in society? And if someone's not functioning social, academically, or vocationally, or any other way, that's when we know they're not healthy. So Alfred Adler was telling us that people who are getting married need to be able to be part of society. And if you have mental illness, we're setting them up for a marriage that's going to fail. As Coach Menachem, as you said before, it's very true. Marriage is difficult as it is without mental illness. It is so much harder. So the question that people are asking, okay, why now? You've been burning with this topic for 15 years. Why now? And the answer is very simple, because it just gets to the boiling point of every single day I'm getting phone calls from rabbanim, from therapists. Please see this couple. They're about to get divorced. Please see. I'm like, whatever happened to me treating, teenagers that have a little ADHD? Whatever happened to a kid that needs a little chizuk? And it just the percentages and the amounts of cases just keep piling up. We had to do something to make everyone aware, because I can't fix it. We need everyone's help, everyone's parents, every rebbeim, every therapist to be aware what to look for, what to do. I've been called, and I want people to understand the significance and severity of this issue. I've been called as soon as the engagement happened. I want to tell you a secret. They tell me, my kid, my son, my daughter has a mental illness. They're engaged. What can we do? So of course, if you're Hasidish, we at least have 9 months. But if you are not Hasidish and you have 3 months, it's also a problem. And I think to myself is, why are we waiting? So of course, the parents often say, but I need my kid to get married. They rationalize it. They deny it. They want the kid to get married. I understand that. We're all parents. We're not taking that factor away. Chas v'shalom. I've been called the week of the wedding. And in fact, many times the night before the wedding, I've been called. And it's not just once, like, okay, Doni Hollander's making a story out of one time. No, more than one time. And I could tell you, there's been, counted in my cases, over 150 cases in my office from within Sheva Brachos. Within Sheva Brachos. Think about that. I'm a single solo practitioner. I don't have numbers. I'm not a guy with people working on anything. 150 cases of within Sheva Brachos. The numbers are going out of control. What can happen during Shabbat brachos? You're supposed to have coffee, open a bank account, and I don't know, walk together. How bad can it be? But Asha, this is ridiculous. What's going on over here?
Yeah.
You know, we have to make the marriage work. I'm sorry.
Speaking to the therapist down in Lakewood, and it was telling me the number of divorces that's happening a week in Lakewood. It's staggering numbers.
Staggering. You know, and I know parents, and I've been talking to parents, but parents have, you know, listen, parents are emotional. They want their kid to get married. So I said to myself, you know what? 7 years ago, I said, I'm coming it the wrong way. Parents are parents. We're going to work with them. We'll try them best. Let me go to the yeshivas. Let me go to the Rosh Yeshivas. Because they see the boys, and I call it to the girls' schools. They see the girls. Let me just head it off over there. Because the girls, the principals can tell the parents, this kid cannot do the next step unless we go get help. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was ingenious. I was so proud of myself. And what happens? I go to the Rosh Yeshivas, and I've been to yeshivas that have thousands of bachrim. I've been to yeshivas that have 15 bachrim. We're talking all over the globe. And I've gotten the door slammed in my face over, except for 2 Rosh Yeshivas. There's two of my favorite Rosh Yeshivas in Lakewood. I won't tell them everyone's name tonight, but they're my 2, and the yeshiva is a very high level yeshiva. They call me all the time to consult. Oh, they're amazing Rosh Yeshivas. Anyways, the yeshivas told me over and over again, our boys, we got it covered. Or the famous line, in our yeshiva. So I said to myself, let me go back to my files, because Coach Menachem, remember, we've been trying to get this onto the show for months. I had time to actually do research in my files. And I look back now, the big yeshiva I went to, I'm not going to say a name, obviously, but big yeshiva I went back into my files, and they told me they don't have problems. B'li Guzma, over the last 5 years, 20 bachrim in that yeshiva were in my office. We're talking about 5 times 20 is 100, that were going to get married, that ended up in my office or right after their marriage. That we could have helped this bacher if the Rosh Yeshiva would have said, go get help. And I was looking at the number. I'm a single person. The numbers are staggering out there. We have to start stirring the pot. We have to figure out what's going on. I got a phone call about 2 months ago. 2 months ago. It's a recent story. I might as well share some of the recent story. I got that someone called me up and said that their son, who's 22 years old, is autistic, high functioning, and he's getting married. Okay, we all know this is a different topic for a different day about autism and marriage within itself, but we'll get to a different time. And they said to me, can you help our son? I said, sure, no problem. Autism, we teach him social skills. We teach him how to understand. No problem. Calls me up and says, we forgot to tell you, he's getting married in 2 weeks, and he just developed schizophrenia. And he's on antipsychotic medication. Can you help? I said, well, let me see him. Maybe if the antipsychotic medication works and we can work with him and he had good skills beforehand, maybe with certain factors in mind. And I have to tell you, they told the girl's side that the individual had autism. So they did tell them honestly about that, but they didn't tell them about the schizophrenia. So the mother comes in, I evaluate the young man, and he was having symptoms of psychosis in front of me. He was hallucinating. He was doing other things. I don't want to tell the details. It's very interesting, and off the air we could talk more, but I don't know who's listening. I can only see you two, and I imagine other people listening, but I want to share with you guys. And he was just talking nonsense. And this is on antipsychotic medication. I told him, I say, we could book another session. She goes, absolutely. How much? No problem. She zelled me the money right there as I'm talking to her. I said, no problem. We need 2 more sessions, but we might need to call off the marriage. And she said, no problem. Whatever you need. Never heard from her again. Derech Agav, I heard they got married. Don't know what happened afterwards. But this is what's going on in the world. We have to understand a lot of times, especially, the Coach Menachem, the therapists have to ask these questions when they're seeing patients that are 16, 20, that are in Shidduchim age, developmentally, where are they holding? They can't just take face value. We have to dig. Parents have to realize that if most of the time when I ask questions, I don't just say, what's going on now? What happened at 13? What happened at 16? Different angles of questions. And a lot of times it comes out 99% of the time, the issue didn't start now. The issue started way before. And many, many, many times it could have been helped. I got to tell you, I'm very, very hopeful that with the right help, we can help marriages. We can help individuals, boys and girls. And that's why we're here tonight. Very simple. We're here tonight to make everyone aware get rid of the status quo. Marriage isn't just a status. Marriage is a relationship. We have to realize, are we having our kids to get married or to stay married? It's all yours.
Whoa. Okay, so I hope everybody's canceling their appointments tomorrow morning because we should be done about 3 a.m. because you just opened up the can of worms. Here we go. Let's jump into the polls. Everybody answer as honest as you could. 3 poll questions. Here we go. Number 1. Do you believe that marriage helps improve the mental health of a person with mental illness, or does it exacerbate their inability? Number 1, marriage helps improve mental health. Number 2, marriage exacerbates mental instability. Number 3, it depends on the spouse. Number 3, it depends on the spouse. Everybody answer what you think the right answer is. Doesn't make a difference. We're going to review it. There's no right answer. Number 2, if you think your child might have some mental health concerns, what should you do before they consider marriage? A, encourage your child to delay the marriage until mental health concerns are addressed. B, involve the potential spouse in discussions about mental health. Or option C, stay quiet so they found a good shidduch that's going to work with them and get them the proper help afterwards. Because if they have a good spouse, that can really help them. Number 3, what do you think you can do to protect your child from marrying a spouse who's mentally not well? 5 answers. You can only choose one. Number 1, encourage them to have open discussions about mental health with the person they are dating. Number 2, suggest that your child and their partner undergo premarital counseling. Option 3, teach your child to recognize the signs of mental health issues. Number 4, research and inquire about the potential spouse's mental health history. Or number 5, number 1 answer of the night, trust your child's judgment and support their decision. So those are the 3 questions. Each one is very powerful. And we will review with Dr. Hollander. Okay? Dr. Hollander, they're good questions?
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Do you ever not ask a good question?
I'm not perfect, you know what I mean? Close, but you know.
We could talk about it while we're waiting for the answers to come in.
You can do a quick session on me now, right?
No problem. Free of charge.
That's the point. That's why I do this whole shit, so I get some free sessions. Okay.
We'll stop there before you do anything else.
Okay, we're gonna end the polls in 3 seconds, so please finish your votes.
Wow, it's fast.
No, let them vote.
Maybe people want to Google the answers.
Yeah, everybody just take all this, copy paste it into ChatGPT and ask them for the right answer.
There's a new
here we
AI.
go.
You can make...
Yeah. Here we go. Dr. Hollander, these are the results we're going to share with everybody. Do you believe that marriage helps improve mental health of a person with mental illness, or does it exacerbate the instability? 1% of people, 1 person over here tonight said it definitely helps improve mental health issue. So that person, please reach out to Dr. Doni Hollander right after the share. Number 2, marriage exacerbates mental instability. 67% of people said that. 33% of people said, listen to this, it depends on the spouse. Dr. Hollander, you want to comment on this?
How do I move? I gotta move this over so I can see you at the same time. I'm not very good with. I don't care. I can't move it over. Anyways, I don't see your face, but I'm assuming it's still there.
Perfect.
So, let's take the 33%. Depends on the spouse, right? So, when you get married, are you getting married to a mental health professional? Or are you getting married to have a wife? So, if it depends on the spouse, right? Do you believe marriage helps improve the mental health of a person? Is really you're saying to the spouse, if you do X, Y, and Z, and you give in to your spouse, and you are flexible, and you do this way, and you're a shmata, no problem. The symptoms won't come up because there's no stress. One of the biggest words that we're going to talk about tonight is stress and pressure. And marriage has stress and pressure. Wonderful. By the way, I'm a huge fan of marriage. I'm sure my wife will love to hear that. But it's the fact that marriage is work. And if you're going to make the spouse dependent on making the other spouse healthy, it's not going to work. Never seen it work. It does work if the other person, if the spouse, the wife or the husband want to suffer. And it could work, but they're not going to be happy. The only way to make it work is that both parties, both spouses are working together, not one giving in only to the other to make it work to limit the stress. That's one idea. Exasperating mental instability. Marriage comes with stress, all good stress, all working. But mental health, one of the biggest issues with having a mental health disorder is the coping skills. So when you get married and there's pressure and there's time limits, there's somebody else to worry about, it's going to cause more symptoms to come out of the person. In my opinion, I'm sorry to disagree with the 33%. You'll be Menachem.
So you believe basically marriage exacerbates mental instability. That's your answer.
Bottom line, if you're cutting it short, yes.
Okay. Number two, if you think your child might have some mental health concerns, what should they do before they consider marriage? 88% of the people say encourage your child to delay marriage until mental health concerns are addressed. 12% say involve the potential spouse in discussions about mental health. So if they want to start dating, let them date, but obviously let it be an open dialogue about what's going on. And only 1% of people say stay quiet, so they find a good shidduch, and will they get proper help after that? So only 1% of the people vote that, but 99% of the people do the other way. So just, let's talk about the second question.
So we're asking, if you think your child might have some mental health issues, right? What should you do before they consider marriage? So encourage your child to delay marriage until the mental health concerns are addressed is the most obvious one, because it's the safer one, it's the easiest one. Involving the potential spouse in discussion about mental health. Again, why is it their issue? Why should you want to say it's okay that I don't function? Would you still go down the chuppah with me? I don't know. To what degree are you having a discussion in the first place? I don't wake up for shachris. I have an eating disorder. I'm not going to be there for you because I have to go to.
I want to push back on that. I mean, there are people that have issues. I mean, we got some emails, and they are addressing the person they're dating that I suffer from depression. That's my problem. I'm trying to work on it, but I want to get married. So they're having a conversation open. They're not hiding anything. And then that
Usher, you're right. But Usher, the point that we have to make evolve that is to what degree are they depressed? To what degree are they functioning? So yes, I have depression. I can even be on Zoloft, no problem. If they're functioning, it's not a problem. If they're able to have a relationship, it's not a problem. It's not about the depression. It's not about the diagnosis. It's about the functionality of the person. People have to understand, Usher, this is critical, that it's not about the diagnosis. Someone can have an eating disorder and was hospitalized for a year and could be a great wife later on if they're up and running. So when I deliver my news to my spouse to be that I have an eating disorder, that I have autism or whatever I have, ADHD, right? It's about where I'm up to. But if I'm going to involve my potential spouse to discuss it and I'm not functioning, how is that fair to the other spouse to say that, well, at least I discussed it with you? It won't be so bad. I'll get up by 6 p.m. in the afternoon. I won't be there in the bedroom for you because I have to worry about myself. So again, it's very, very important when you have this kind of question, what's the level of functionality?
Okay. I hear that totally.
You don't have to hear it. You could disagree. We're having a conversation.
Only 1% of people say stay quiet so they get a good shidduch, and then they can get help after that.
Is that the same person from the first
Somebody
question?
Somebody said that. I'm just being honest. I don't mean to be negative, but let's be honest. A lot of people, it's very nice that 1% of people are saying this in the vote.
Correct.
But in reality, there's so much. Let's be honest there.
Great point. Great point. It's true. It's true. There's the stories I told you. People are quiet. People stay quiet. My kid's going to get better. I don't need to say anything. 100%. It's more than you think. And actually, I think that's a great point you make. That people have to understand they're not the only ones thinking, let's keep it quiet. They're not alone. And again, Usher, we go back what Coach Menachem said initially, is that people want to get their kids married. This is a very hard topic. I'm pontificating, but it's not fair. I married off children. You married off children. It's not easy on a good day.
Yep. So we'll get into that. There's a lot of we need a lot of clarity in that. We need to understand that because it's a very sensitive topic in one sense.
Very sensitive topic.
Okay, let's go to the third question, which is a very big concern. What do you think you could do to protect your child from marrying a spouse who's not mentally well? 5 possible answers. First answer is encourage them to have open discussions about mental health with the person they're dating. So that's many people said that. 88. I'm sorry. What do you think you could do to protect your child from marrying a spouse who's not mentally well? 90% of people said encourage them to have open discussion about mental health with the person they're dating. So if your son's dating somebody, have a discussion about it. Let them try to really get clarity. 12% suggest that your child and their partner undergo premarital counseling. 29% of people teach your child to recognize the signs of mental illness. 38% of people, and this is what most people do, is they do research, inquire about the spouse's mental health history.
Mhm.
And 2%, not 1%, we're up to 2%, trust your child and support the decision. So I just want to say something just on these answers, in my opinion, before you, and even you. I mean, we all do the research on the mental health and we try our best, but let's be also honest that the mental health concerns in the frum world is very well protected. Whether
Right.
it's a Rebbe or it's a family member or it's whatever, very few people will be very honest and say this person has this and this. And as parents, we do a very good job of protecting our children's privacy and their mental health concerns and quieting it down. So as much as that is the way that we've been doing it the last 100 years, is we do research. The reason why the research system is partially faulted is because it's almost impossible to get a real honest answer. I don't know of anybody that ever says that, oh, this person suffers from A, B, and C. The most maybe somebody will say will be like, I'm not sure, there might be something there. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like very vague. So, okay, now I just want to hear your opinion. But you see the answers are very split up over here versus the other ones were very
Yeah.
clear.
Correct.
So,
By the way,
bottom line.
each answer here, Usher, we could go into discuss it for a half hour, each of these answers, because each of these answers have a lot of meat and potatoes to discuss regarding marriages. So I'm going to go through each one because I think it's very, very important that we discuss this out loud, because this is a lot of hot topics. So encouraging them to have open discussions about mental health with the person that they're dating, that is good, because that gives you an opportunity to collect information. If the spouse, the potential spouse, is open about the symptoms, when it started, what medications are, and they're really being honest, because then you could come back to your parents, your rabbanim, your therapist, whoever's guiding you, and can lay it on the table, and you could really have a educated decision at that point what to do next. You can involve the potential spouse with the mental illness, what we could
Also,
do together.
there are a lot
You know
of people
exactly
that
where
say,
to hold it.
there are a lot of people, I've heard this before, a lot of people say, like, if you're not asked beferish, you don't have to talk about it. So
So
if you really, no, like somebody's taking anti-anxiety, if your spouse, you're dating somebody, if they bring it up, you should mention, don't lie, chas v'shalom. But if they don't ask you, like, it's not like not, you know what I mean? So I think that conversation, just being straight up, have you taken medication? Do you have anything? Have you gone to a therapist? Again, if a person's going to lie to you about that, then you have a much bigger problem.
And they do. You do. Unfortunately, you do. But again, you know, I have my Gedol Yisrael that I ask questions to, and the general rule is to ask to say over between 3 to 5 dates. You know, to share. I'm putting it out there because it is hard for parents, and Coach Menachem, it goes back to what you said before. It's going to be a theme throughout tonight. It's not easy to divulge in the Jewish circles. It's not easy to divulge a deep, dark secret about a family, that I have this disorder, my parents have this disorder. It's not easy. But if we're like, but you said before, sure, if you want an honest relationship, you got to start off being honest. But it is something very, very important. And many times, believe it or not, because someone's open and honest, if the other family is healthy, they will be open to it. They will work together. Many times. So again, I can't tell everyone it's going to be easy. It's embarrassing. You don't know where it's going to go. You know, the other side has no confidentiality. So when one family tells another family their issues, you don't know where it's going to end up. It's not easy.
Okay. Want to jump into the questions? You ready?
Oh, me? Absolutely. By the way, just going back, you shut the screen down.
Oh, sorry.
I call it, no, it's fine. I call it the white tablecloth syndrome, where people ask questions about the families that have nothing to do with the individual's functionality. We have to be very careful out there, because we get confused when we ask questions about the potential spouse. Are they showing up for classes? Do they have friends? How do they interact with friends? You know, how well do they do when stress happens, when change happens? You're looking for questions that can generalize a person's personality when they're in marriage. And instead, people are asking, do they go on vacation? How much money are they going to spend on my kid? It could be an important question. I don't know. It's not in my wheelhouse of questions that are important. What's important is that making sure that both spouses are healthy, and we have to ask the right questions before we let our kids go out with other spouses.
Okay, 100%. Okay, let's go to the first question. It's gonna be a live question. You're on. How are you?
Hi, good. You hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so thank you for taking my question. I have a question from a slightly different angle. For me, like sometimes you just don't know if you're until you try. So for me, I'm still in therapy. I've gone to therapy for many years, and I did DBT, CBT, and I'm still struggling. And I spoke to my therapist over, spoken to different therapists and my current therapist, and she said, well, she asked me, well, what do you think? I said, I don't know, this, that. And I also spoke to a Shidduchim that deals with mental health. And I spoke to the Shidduchim and my therapist, and I came to the conclusion that sometimes like you could do all the work you can do, but sometimes you just don't know until you get your feet wet and you just try it out and see how it goes. So I wanted to raise that point that yeah, you should do all the work you can, and then once you can't, there's only so much work you can do to get your feet wet. And I also think I have a few friends that also have struggling with their mental health, and they got married, and sometimes the marriage could be better. Sometimes if you have the right spouse that's understanding and caring, that could help you with actually help you expedite your mental health journey, and not in an unhealthy way, but I'm saying when the spouse is supportive, you understand what you're going through, and you understand what he's going through. Together, the two of you could
Together,
yeah. So that's what I wanted to raise. Have any comments on that?
Asher, you going first?
I'm gonna just really clarify what she's asking. I think it's the part that really stood out is at the end of the day, there's no you're healthy. It's not like you're you're in a remission and you have no cancer cells. This is something that's an ongoing thing. So a person that wants to really go and they have the therapist, they have the psychiatrist, they're busy with all the things, which is really amazing thing. Really, I think it's an amazing, a person that really wants to get help. But at the end of the day, it's all fine and dandy, but you still have to get behind the wheel and drive. And even though technically you feel like you could do it, you don't know until you try. Just like a regular healthy person could be totally healthy, no mental health issue, but they get married, just dealing with a spouse
Right.
or whatever, it just doesn't work for them. Not
Right.
everybody's meant to be married,
Right.
in my opinion. But
Right.
so that's really a question. I think it's a very important point.
So it's a very important question because we want people to be married. We want people to move on. We want people to be happy. We want people to feel fulfilled. There's no question. It's a great question. So one of the things that I'm very careful about in this topic is that the therapy has very goal-oriented goals, very black and white goals, measurable goals that are you achieving. For example, if I'm not talking about this woman who called now, and she's very brave to call it. It's very fantastic. But I'm talking about people going to a therapist and telling the therapist, how did I grow? How is this helping me in my marriage? What's the goals here that we can achieve so that when I get married, God willing, I know I have the skills, the tools that if a case happens that's causing me stress, I know what to do. I know how to handle it. I know how to plan. That excuse me. So the key is, sometimes you need to jump in, but you want to jump in as best prepared as possible. So you have a list of goals that you need to do. You achieve these goals and be aware which goals which you can't fix beforehand. Go into marriage and continue therapy for the support during marriage and be open with your spouse beforehand. It is doable. I want to tell the caller who just called now. I think her name is, she's online. I'm sorry. I apologize. Yeah. It's doable. It's absolutely doable. Yeah. But you want to make sure that when you do it, there's forethought as well. 100%. 100%. You want to make sure that people can handle stress or relationships, whatever the issues are, that you have measurable goals that you went there. So when you get married, you're getting married in an honest way to your spouse. They know exactly what you're working on, what your triggers are, how you handle them, see if they're prepared to work with you. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, good luck.
It's important to have an open conversation with the therapists.
Right. Right.
Like you're saying, black and white. Okay, what are we working on? What do I need? Is it getting better? Sometimes people could sit in therapy, week after week, but not knowing exactly where they're going. So that's important.
Yeah, no, definitely have goals. Yeah.
Shkoyach.
Dr. Doni, it's Coach Menachem.
Coach Menachem comes up with a big one, a grand slam point.
It's not an easy one. There's many therapists out there, they would love to hear from you, Doni. What are the black and white things that
I have my enemies in my field.
Okay, let's go to the next question. You're on.
Okay, so in my personal experience, the pressure to get married in the firm world is similar to the pressure in the secular world to get a college degree or get into a career. And you can have like a total stranger ask you what your plans for marriage are. Is there too much pressure to get married in the firm world? And how can somebody who's not yet ready to get married deal with that outside pressure to get married?
Usher, you want to phrase it, or you want me to go with it? What do you want to do?
He's basically, I'm like, Guido, let's
Sure.
repeat the question. You're saying basically it's a comment, like you feel like in the frum world, the
Yeah.
pressure to get married is so strong. So what would be the option? To chill it out and let everybody relax? Like what's option B?
What's, I guess, one is a pressure too much, and
Pressure too much.
two, somebody feels that pressure, but they're not ready yet. How should they handle it?
Okay. I think that's pretty clear.
He said it nicely. You gotta give him credit. Right on the mark. Right on the mark. So the answer is there is pressure. There's a social pressure to get married. Everyone says, "No, you're back from seminary. Who are you dating? What are you dating? You only had one date. What's going on with you?" The guys are talking about which girls this way. It becomes a lot of pressure. You are correct. You are very, very on target. There's a lot of pressure to get married in Jewish society. Each, whether it's at 19 or 20, but there is pressure across the whole gamut. Any type of, throughout all different types of levels, everyone has pressure. Everyone has pressure to get married. The question everyone has to ask themselves is, are we going for the pressure? Or if I'm not ready, then I have to be comfortable with myself. How am I comfortable with myself? I might need to speak to somebody, a Rav, a counselor, somebody who I trust to help me become comfortable with myself. Because a lot of times, we don't want to be different than other people. There's a big pressure not to be different. So we want to make sure that if you have to evaluate yourself and make a list, am I not ready for marriage? And it's your choice, 100% your choice. And if you're not married, but you feel pressure to get married anyways, that's a very strong indication that you're aware of yourself, which is fantastic. And then you got to get help to get comfortable with the decision. So even though people are putting pressure on you, Shadchanim are calling you, your friends are asking you, learning how to feel comfortable when they say something to you, that you have a response where you feel comfortable and confident within yourself.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Dr. Hollander. I just wondered when you talk about mental illness, are you differentiating between it's neuropsychiatric or a personality disorder? Because I think those are very hard to treat. I know I had a neighbor who was on a sixth marriage. I mean, Hollywood has nothing over him. So I'm just saying, we talk about people being marriage material or something that can be easily be treatable. I know that even with psychiatric, it's not just a question of popping pills to medication. They may need certain guidance, but what about somebody like these people? Are you seeing a lot of that, like just personality? Something is wrong with their character or personality that would prevent them from either getting married or staying. I think staying married is more the issue.
Yeah, getting married, we can pretty much help people get married. That's true. It's a very good point.
I mean,
very good.
Are you seeing a lot of the? I don't know. I don't know if I don't know what the causes. I don't know if it's a society, family, whatever. But are you? So when you talk with, I don't know. I don't know which is more difficult in the end. Is somebody that that it's like getting a whole brain transplant. It's not just a question of treating certain symptoms. But I mean, I don't know what your experience has been, or your own observation, or conclusion. Yeah. I mean, what would you say? I mean, some people, maybe they're really, you could say they're not ready to get married. I mean, I don't know if that's just a more optimistic view, but there's some that just say maybe they just, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts on that are.
Yeah. Sure. You want to take it away, translate, or do you want to let me just take it from?
Oh, should I explain? Sorry, say it again. Explain it.
Well, I hope I wasn't unclear.
No, you were clear. I just want to know if Usher, I got it.
No. Good.
So I don't know. Sometimes you like to put in your 2 cents. I just want to make sure I don't leave you out of here.
Yeah, no, I know some people might be unmarriageable. I mean, I've sometimes come to
Yes.
that
So
conclusion.
your point is very, very, very important. I'm a little bit romantic. I never give up. But the truth is, some people's symptoms are never healthy enough to get married. It's true, but we don't want to not try. Tonight's session is about the idea, let's first try before we just give up. But you are correct. There are times where somebody's brain is wired a certain way where I've seen it. They're on 15 medications, and no matter what you're doing, they're just not here, not present, not able to engage in other people. And while that your point is a very good point, we don't want to give up first by trying. We always want, so if the symptoms are there at 13, 14, 16, 18, 20, we want to make sure we tried it. If it happens to be they're not marriageable, we understand. But then at least we gave it a shot. But you are correct. There's some people's symptoms that are too hard. And, there's a psychiatric unit in the hospital for a reason. So that's your proof. People sometimes have to end up in a hospital, unfortunately. But we're not going to give up without a fight. We're going to try to make that person.
Yeah, or not just say maybe it's, I don't want to say it would take Mashiach, but maybe they would have their awakening of their own. I've seen, sometimes maybe you get the proverbial late bloomer as well. Maybe they finally realize, I mean, maybe you can only hope and pray for that, I guess.
What do you mean by late bloomer?
Well, they become aware of certain, either their behavior or their attitude, the things that they're going to have to change within themselves. But it may not come from external forces. It may, that's just, I don't know, my own 2 cents, I guess.
No, it makes sense. But sometimes we get lucky that the medication does work and the therapy does work. And all of a sudden they start to have insight and awareness and they become self-motivated and they do now have a second chance to get healthy. Yeah, it could go either way, but we always want to try.
Okay, good, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's go to the next question. Hold on 1 second. Unmute. Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you? My question is as follows. There are many people who I know who unfortunately have mental illnesses, not to such an extreme, schizophrenia or something like that, but anxiety, heavy anxiety, and they are people's pleasers, okay? And they will go to the therapist either by, they please people. They're people please. They want to cover up their mental illness in the public, okay? To friends, family, close ones. They would go to the therapist either by will or by a friend telling them, hey, maybe it's a good idea to go to a therapist, or they'll do it for the friend. Now, it happened to a close relative of mine, and she was in the therapist's office, and she was pleasing the therapist. So nothing was happening. So the question really would be, in a case like that, I think there's many cases like that, but definitely it happens, and it's a problem.
So there's one personality disorder just like that called dependent personality disorder, where everyone feeds into the therapist. They want to make the therapist happy, right? So you're right. You have to be very careful. You have to be very careful. A therapist has to be honest with themselves that this patient, they could take a ride for 5 years if you're not careful, because the individual just wants to please. Every therapist, and I'm not just talking about dependent personality disorder, but I'm talking about just in general, there are people who want the therapist's attention because the therapist is one-on-one, 45 minutes. If you pay more, you get more time. So, they do want to please. And therapists have to be really honest with themselves. Am I goal-oriented? Even if I'm doing psychodynamic therapy, is it goal-oriented? Are we getting someplace? Are we making a difference? And sometimes therapists, unfortunately, listen. I like a lot of my colleagues. I think they are very, very good. But every job has people that unfortunately are not always aware of what to be aware of. But yeah, the therapists have to be aware: are we moving or not moving? And if they don't move, then we just go around in circles.
So my mother, it was a close relative who went to you, and we were trying to get yes. And I kept sending you the Zell back of every few weeks, and I kept on asking, trying to see some process. And there was 1 week that this close relative was supposed to go to you, and she couldn't for some odd reason. She was supposed to do something else that day, and she bent over backwards and couldn't.
Sure. Not everything has to be online.
Yeah, I
Some
got
is-
it. Okay.
Some is grievances.
Yeah. Let's go to the next question. Okay.
They can have their lawyer speak to my lawyer.
Okay.
I was waiting for that, by the way, Usher.
Oh, of course, of course.
Oh, I was only one. We're almost an hour in. I was expecting it much earlier.
Okay, you're on. Yeah, that's Russell's line. Yeah. Hi,
Hello.
how are you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Sure, sure.
Yeah, Stefan, thank you. Anyway, the question I'd like to propose is as follows. I'm interested in finding out. This is actually, it's for my sister. I'm asking. She lives in England. She's an almana, and she's in her 60s, and she's been going out with somebody from London who is a few years older than her, and they've been going out for 15, 16 months, and everything, Baruch Hashem, seemed to have been ironed out and normal. And all of a sudden, he came up with the statement of he doesn't know what's happened, but he has a tremendous fear, being that he's been divorced previously. He has a fear of commitment, and he's got something called the gremlins that's come over him. I spoke to him. I mean, I've lived in America close to 40 years, and I know a lot more. And I told him, excuse me being so open, but I said, I think the whole thing is BS because, you know, I don't think you were ever intended to get married to my sister. What do you mean the gremlins? Well, at this point, but the honest truth is, am I wrong? Could there be when a guy turns around 70, my sister's about 65, but he's a very young person. Could he have honestly gone out with her for so long? I mean, I'm really calling because my sister is devastated. She's like, and I keep telling her, unfortunately, living here in New York, this happens all the time. I mean, you know, it doesn't even have to be that, but she's a very straightforward shooter. So just wondering if you understand my question and know where I'm coming from.
Usher, you want take it?
Oh no, you're the therapist.
Oh, okay.
I don't get paid the big bucks.
I'm not getting paid either the big bucks. You know what I'm saying? So I believe your observations. I mean, I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but it sounds like your observation sense about that his hemming and hawing may just always be hemming and hawing. And the truth is, they can always go to couples therapy together to see, and the therapist can ask certain questions and see the relationship and see if there's any specific hesitation on his part to help your sister figure out whether she wants to fish or cut bait.
Right. Do you? Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear? I can talk in.
Yeah.
You can hear me, right? Yeah. Thank you. So, oh yeah. So basically, he's been telling her he's going for therapy, and she should be patient and wait. Now she's waited 3 months, and she says to him, "This can't go on." I think she's not mentioned. He does not want her coming because he said these are his own. That's why I feel very suspicious. There's something, he said it's better he goes himself because it's not good to get her involved in it. So I'm wondering, I'm just thinking, you know, well, I suppose, you know, I mean, time will tell, as they say, but I just feel that, I don't know if this, you know, I mean, I've heard of cold feet. I mean, I've, you know, watched movies once in a while, but can this happen? Can someone go out for 18 months and then switch off and just say, I mean, you know, it doesn't make sense. Well, maybe we're living in that kind of a world today.
Yeah. So it unfortunately doesn't. I mean, when I say makes sense, means it does happen. It is possible. And your sister.
No, but the couples therapy is a great thing for me to tell her. She has to go for at least 1 or 2 sessions. So this way she can describe and talk about what she feels is important. And he can also, in this way, they can come to an agreement because just, you know.
Right. Your sister also has to learn how to set a boundary, either this or this or that. And then she has to take charge. And if it's not meant to be, she has to say to herself, it wasn't worth waiting around. I'm not going to take my chance. I got to make my decision. I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to just keep going. And if he's saying he wants to go to therapy, you know, it's interesting idea that you're bringing up, going to therapy alone. Usually when that happens, it's usually not a good sign. Because I get it all the time. I want to come myself without my spouse. It's not usually like, yeah, I'm just going to talk about myself and my issues, and you know, my spouse is good. You know, usually there's a reason why people don't want to share in sessions.
Well, that's what I thought. I really, really did think
you did a good job.
I'm quite perceptive on it. But yes, thank you so much. If there will be a mazel tov in Yetzer Hashem, I'll call up and let you know.
Okay.
I think
Sounds
Thank you
good.
very much.
I think
Thank
this
you.
this awareness is also for regular, first time in marriage. Some people have a fear of commitment, and
Yeah.
the question is, Donnie, tell me, should they go for couple therapy before they get engaged?
I'm a very big fan of premarital therapy, especially even if no one has an official diagnosis. But anytime there's a hesitation somewhere, or there's a question to be asked, there should go. It's not a stigma to go to therapy. People come into my office. I can only talk in my office. I don't know what people. There are plenty of people come in. They're not unhealthy. They're not have a psychiatric disorder. They're coming in just for an idea, an angle. They want to be able to process something. So I got plenty of couples beforehand come in, and they want to ask, or parents will bring in their daughter or their son and say, this is what's going on. What should we look at? What should we ask? Parents will call me up and say, my son and daughter are dating. What questions should we be asking? The pre-dating, the asking the questions to know what to look for is very, very useful. So I'm a big fan of it. I know that a lot of people don't do it, and I'm not drawing up business. That's not my goal here. My goal here is to help people understand that the goal is to stay married, happily married. And we could head it off at the path, the better off we are.
Very good. So here's a question that came in. My daughter has had a few instances where people try to touch her, but she was smart enough to run. Now she doesn't trust any men. Should I be concerned about this affecting her marriage, or will the decision go away after she gets married?
So here's the thing. If someone is already having hesitations of touch or intimacy or of that genre, it's very important to go to therapy and ask questions to make sure that person's not stuck. Because a lot of times, someone like this example you used, it sounds okay, knew that we'll get over it, not a big deal.
Hope for the best.
Even though something might not have happened. I'm sorry, hope for the best, right? Maybe nothing did happen horrible. We're not talking about rape or anything horrible. But you never know what thought process someone put in their mind. I'm not talking about trauma. I'm not talking about post-traumatic stress disorder. We're not going there. We're talking about just people. We all have perceptions about what goes on in our environment. And we all take it in, and that becomes our reality. So we have to understand, is that her reality? I'm just saying her in this case, this reality. But Coach Menachem, you have to, that girl has to be asked questions. Where are you holding? Don't talk about intimacy right away. Talk about her thought process of what happened, where she's holding, what is she concerned, not concerned. The college teacher should be made aware of it so that the college teacher knows when talking explicitly about intimacy and her sexuality to bring it up and see where she's holding. But it's very, very important not to just say, okay, no, it's not a big deal. You never know. I'm not saying it is a big deal. People should not be alarmed. People are very resilient. People are not everything means something. Right? Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, as Freud would say, right? Not everything means something. So we can't always say, oh my gosh, it should be checked out. It should be looked into. We should make sure that doesn't play a factor in something else. But it doesn't mean that we should get stressed out and cause an emergency. But we should look into it, because many a times I know for women where things have happened to them and they all of a sudden had a thought in their brain that locked in, and it did influence and did affect intimacy in the bedroom. Even though nothing horrible, I don't know what the word, I'm not going to go into details, but whatever the word horrible is. I'm talking about rape. I'm talking about someone molesting. That's what I mean by horrible. But, or even just inappropriate touch. Not everything people are resilient. So we don't have to freak out, but we do have to ask the questions. And as an aside, intimacy in general, we have to understand that a lot of people nowadays, we assume people have no problem with intimacy. I'm just going to branch off into something else. And we have to understand that we shouldn't take things for granted. A lot of parents are afraid. I don't know, the new generation, the old generation, all parents had to sit down. We talk about the birds and the bees. We had an open conversation. People nowadays don't want to do it. I've been asked, other therapists, we joke about it, that parents hire us to talk about the birds and bees to their own kids. Right? So for those who don't know, Birds and Bees is a new generation about sexual development. Anyways, and it just people just push it on the rug, and yeah, everything's just going to work out. We have to make sure the chassan rebbes and the kala teachers ask the questions. Are you aware of this? What are you afraid of? Do you know what it means? Are you looking forward to it? Do you want someone to touch you? Do you want someone to hug you? And etc. etc. Now's not the time to go into details. We'll have that at a different time. But we have to ask the questions. Chassan kala teachers need to not be afraid to ask these questions, because many times the first night doesn't work out, and a lot of times people, the chassan and kala teachers, are saying the first night's not going to work out, the first week's not going to work out, and it gives everyone just an excuse to push off the inevitable, where there might be a problem, and this could have been, taken care of ahead of time if just ask the normal questions beforehand. What are you looking for? A lot of times chassan and kala teachers have a script and they just read it, and they don't ask questions. They just teach. They have 6 45-minute sessions. Sit there, listen, have a good time, enjoy your marriage, and that's it. Chassan teachers and kala teachers are a line of defense before people get married that we can use if they are trained to know what to look for. And I think that somebody, I'm not popular or famous enough to do it, but someone should change the curriculum and hold an achrayus for chassan teachers and kala teachers to be more involved in mental health, to know what to look for. They shouldn't treat. They're good at halacha. They're good at teaching certain things, but they are our guardian to identify who might need help, right? The chassan, does he have the social skills? We shouldn't just assume that you have a chassan sitting there nodding his head that he's good socially. Ask questions, get involved in the conversation. Coach Menachem, was too many times that everyone just sits down in chassan class. I had this one time. I'm telling you, Bali Guzma, it happened. You're going to smile, but it's sad, but a chassan, a woman told me that she was upset in the bedroom. And what happened? The chassan rebbe didn't want to talk about it, so he gave a checklist to the chassan, what to do. And that's it, a checklist. I don't have to tell you how it didn't work out, really. But we have to have the chassan rebbeim and the college teachers to be comfortable, to identify each person, take on a achrayus.
So you reached out to him, to that chassan teacher?
Teachers. I've had lectures to one time I went down to Lakewood for 30 chassan teachers. At the end, they all know everything. Okay.
So, but the next step, if they get involved with the mental health and they realize that the chassan or the kala, they
Correct.
do need. So who do they call? The parents? They're not going to want to listen. The
parents. They have to. They can't call a mental health professional because it's not their job to step over a boundary with the parents. They have to have a conversation with the parents, and part of the thing is, and this is a problem, a financial problem. The chassan teachers and kala teachers charge a certain amount of money, a certain amount of times. That's it. They should charge more. It's expensive as it is, but this is a critical time of a person's life that we should take time to get to know the chassan, get to know the kala. Where's their social skills? What kind of person are they? What's their personality? What's the story in the intimacy? And one of the things I've been pushing, I've been talking to different Gedolei Yisrael and Rebbes, is about the idea that chassan teachers and college teachers should add on 6 to 8 classes after marriage as well. There should be a follow-through. Don't wait for a crisis to happen. It should be an automatic follow-through. Again, we're just having conversation. You and I sitting here, people are listening on, but the truth is we're just having a conversation of just trying to make ourselves aware, sharing what's going on out there. And I don't know why the chassan teachers and college teachers are not held. I'm not saying they're all bad. I'm not trying to generalize. I'm saying us parents have to say to chassan and college teachers, where is my chassan? Where's my kala holding? Are they ready? Why are they ready? Ask questions. Why are they ready? Where are they holding? Is there a certain issue in the bedroom? No. How do you know? How are they socially? He's a good kid. How do you know? The parents should feel it's their kid. They should have an achrayus to ask questions. This is it. Once they walk down the chuppah, it's a done deal. So I think that's a very, very important piece.
It has to become the norm because people want to do.
It has to become the norm. You got to fix it. You got to fix it. They're already charging $2,500. So what's another $1,000? You're paying thousands of dollars for a chassan anyways, right?
Or talk about how much money you'll have to pay afterwards. Treating it
Cost benefit
earlier.
analysis. Yeah, it's true. I feel bad for parents because it's a lot of stress going on. But I want parents to feel hopeful that if we catch it in time, we can do it. We can do it. You know, the same thing, by the way, Coach Menachem, with Rebbeim. It's the same thing with Rebbeim. You know, the Rebbeim tell Kalas, he's a good kid. He's a great kid. Was great. He shows up. He learns. He doesn't cause trouble. They never know about the social emotional function because he just sails straight through. Right? So I tell people, call the Rebbe, ask him, how is he social? He's great. How is he great? What makes him great? When's the last time you had a conversation with him as a Rosh Yeshiva? Where did he express his emotional connections? Ask the Beis Yaakov principles. Was this girl easygoing? Was she a bully in school? There's questions to ask, and don't just take superficial answers because, like you were saying before, or she was saying before, that people just give superficial answers. They're good. What does that mean, good? I always tell patients of mine, if I say the word good, challenge me. Whoa, what do I mean by good? What does that mean bad? These words are too general. You know, our kids are our pride. Our kids are our pride. How can we give up on them and unfortunately destroy marriages? And I hate to say this so strongly because it's sort of mechutzav of me, but we have kids and grandkids to worry about. Can you imagine our grandkids are now with a divorce? Isn't that worse? That could have been prevented if we do a lot of work beforehand. It's
so beneficial for a normal spouse, normal, quote unquote, for every spouse to go after marriage, to go for a few sessions and talk about, each other, and nothing to do with mental health. Yes, if there is mental health, it's going to come out, but it would be, everybody would benefit from just after the marriage, what's going on. And maybe they should start after a few, month or two, because then everything is great. But eventually you sit down, okay, are we opening a bank account together? What are we doing?
Correct. Are we putting it under both names? How many times does that come up that the account goes into one person's name? I wonder what that means. But it's very, very. I'm sorry.
Many in the beginning, maybe the year or two, is they believe that everything is fine, everything's good. So everybody's different when they should go and sit down with a third party.
Right. Yeah, it's very, very hard.
Let's jump to the next question.
I'm sorry. Oh, hey, sure, you're back. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm here. Okay, you're on.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
So basically continuing off the same tangent, speaking of things that should have been dealt with before marriage, but I'm married for a few years. I have kids, and I'm dealing with my mental issues now with my childhood trauma and a lot of different things that are coming up for me. Intimacy was always an awful struggle for me. So at this point, I don't know, like the way I phrased the question was like, I don't know if I'm expecting, like you were saying in the beginning, like one of the poll questions was if marriage depends on the spouse, like if marriage can make things better, it depends on the spouse. So I actually wrote like it makes things worse, but I don't want to feel like I'm expecting from my husband something that like I'm expecting too much of him. Like how do I know if I'm expecting him to be supportive of me and that's like really I'm expecting too much? And how do I know, like I'm in couples therapy now, but like it's so painful and like it's so hard to do the work and I really don't even know what I want. Like I don't know if I'm not just taking him for a ride and like expecting something that's not realistic.
Asha, I'm going to need your help because the Mrs. Seltzer, I believe that's her name, is saying a lot in one session, in one question. Can you break it down for me?
First thing she's saying is she's the one that's trying very hard and like maybe she has, what's her expectations? Like, at the end of the day, like she's the one who's this, she understands that marriage is difficult on the spouse. So what is that? Like you want your husband to be supportive, but how much supportive? What point does it, I don't use the word abusive. What point does it come? It's just not realistic. That's one question, right?
Yeah.
So let's do one thing at a time. Can we do at a time? Asha, is that okay if you hold it?
I allow.
First thing is first.
First thing is first. fact that she's in therapy and trying, that alone is a very big thing. Let's start with that. Like,
Give credit
many
due.
people that are just don't go to therapy, or they're fighting, and they're just that you're trying is a big zach itself. That's number one. A lot of people don't do that. People are texting me now. I didn't even ask the question because it's like a silly question. Not silly, but like people, I have a spouse, but they don't want to go to therapy. They don't go for like if you have somebody who doesn't want and they have problems, like there's not even a question to ask Dr. Hollander. Like, what are you asking him? How do I convince him to go to therapy? Person's not well and doesn't want to go to therapy. There's nothing to work with. You need to be able. Two people need to be able to work on it. So just the fact that you're doing it is great. But okay, Dr. Hollander.
So the fact that you're getting on today and asking about yourself is fantastic, because a lot of people don't. I'm backing up. I'm piggybacking off what Usher said. Not that he didn't say it good. He did it. He did a good job. Usher, you did great.
I'm insulted. I think we should go for therapy.
But the idea that you're going for therapy is kudos to you. The idea that you're calling to say, what can I do for myself, is very powerful, that you're taking ownership. A lot of people don't take ownership to their problems. That itself is very, very important. And that's a lot of times therapy is about helping people take ownership. But you're doing that alone. So that's very, very credit to you. The second point is that really is to, instead of, you're online, Mrs. Seltzer?
I'm here. I'm
Yeah,
listening.
yeah. No problem.
just
So I want to
like-
ask you a question. Are you feeling bad and guilty about it?
So I was just gonna answer back of what you were saying, that like I'm asking and I'm taking ownership. So I know I have that part, it's there, that I feel like, but really at the same time, I do expect him to make certain what's the word? Like accommodations, let's say, for me. And I know I'm expecting a lot of accommodations, and it feels like that's what I need. I know that that's what I need right now, but is it realistic? Is that fair? Like, I know that, like, for example, just to give like a little example, whatever, I'm not gonna be specific, but like I know that like with people with avoidant attachment, like their freedom and independence is more important than relationships. I see that with myself so many times, that I want to do things my way and I don't want to have to compromise. Compromise is so hard for me. But like at the end of the day, we're married. I'm like, so like I know that like I'm not always being realistic, but at the same time, it still feels so painful. Like I cannot compromise on this, because I never had the ability to have my sense of self, and like my free will was taken from me. And part of my healing is that I need this. So like,
yeah. I think I'm not going to answer everything because I'm not your therapist and I don't want to get too involved and so on and so forth. But what point that I would draw out from here to discuss is the idea of having you and your husband go to therapy, clarify what you are able to do, what you need from him, and let him process with you and the therapist where he's holding, what he can and cannot do, and let him know openly what you need from him and at what point and what you need from him, and see if it's doable. Just because you need something, listen, you're married, you have kids. We're trying to make it work now. We're not looking, so therefore let's get together in the therapy and see if we can work together. Maybe your husband, he sounds like a good guy who wants to make it work. Maybe he'll be okay with those changes. Maybe not. I have no idea, but you have to work it out in therapy and see, because you need something, whatever you need. Can your husband help you? And if he can't, let me therapist can help you. And both of you could come from a different angle and maybe work together. More than that, I can't say now because I don't know the case. I don't know the situation. I don't want you to talk about it too much, but that's what I would suggest to you.
but thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Dr. Hollander, let's go to this question, okay? My 18-year-old son is a very stark learner. He's a masmid. He doesn't look out of safer. He learns for hours and hours. Baruch Hashem, I ship a lot of nachas. But deep down, I'm concerned. He doesn't have a healthy way of interacting with others. There's no eye contact. Gets very nervous. Should I be concerned? And if yes, what could I do? But I'm just going to take the question a little bit, push it out stronger than that. Anytime somebody has a child where they see interesting behaviors or characteristic traits that could be very scary, like, what do you do about it?
So the reason I want to take the question that was emailed to you first, because that question has been brought to my attention hundreds of times. So that itself is a very general question. I'm going to generalize it afterwards if it's okay with you. Listen, which parent wouldn't love to see we're just taking about the males here because that was a question. Which person wouldn't want to see their son learning 18 hours a day? The next villain Lagoon. I mean, come on, that's what we thrive for. We want our kid to be the next, lawyer, doctor, astronaut. We all want our kids to be successful, which reminds me, by the way, a very interesting quote. I know this is about parenting right now, a little different topic, but you're letting me talk, so I'll go on a tangent. It's a fact like this. Dr. Tversky, Zeichat Tzaddik Livracha, has a book on positive parenting. Very good book. Anyone wants it, it's fine. One page you have to read. I like one page. It's not even in the book. I think it's in the introduction. He's asked us, why do we want to be parents? Do we want to be parents for ourselves, or do we want to be parents for our kids? My kid, the learner, my kid, the lawyer, or whatever the kid wants, and then I'll create that environment for the kid. It's a very important idea to keep in mind while we're bringing up kids. What's our goal? While our children who are learning 18 hours a day is fantastic, most of the time, not every time, most of the time we see burnout, meaning either the person usually develops a psychiatric disorder because your body can't handle that stress. Your body cannot handle that intensity. And therefore, yes, you should be aware of what's going on. I'm not saying not everyone. I happen to have met one person, a kid. He was 15 when I met him. New Mishabura Balpeh, Navi, Torah. And I'm like, okay, this kid's going to burn out. And I was meeting him week after week after week. We were talking about social skills only. And 5 years later, the kid he could quote you any Gemara possible. So there are kids that could learn 18 hours a day. But we have to be careful. Are they healthy? Many kids that learn 18 hours a day, that's their specific ability. Doesn't mean socially they're ready to be married. So we want to look into just because they can have a conversation in Navi or Halacha or Hashkafa doesn't mean they're ready to have a conversation with a wife. And it's very, very important because a lot of times Rabbein will say, I think the language is a Mitzian. He's top level, Harvard. And that sounds good in theory, but when you get married to somebody, a woman always wants that relationship, emotional connection, and give and take. I guess you could find in theory a woman who wants to learn Gemara 24/7. I guess that would be okay. I don't know who's going to take care of the kids and the banking account, but in theory, anyways, yes, if your child's learning 18 hours a day, it's important. Forget 18 hours. I'll drop back. Even 12 to 14 hours a day. A lot of times I see the kids that do that, they tend to burn out. It's either fueled by a OCD, a guilt, or a psychiatric disorder that will just become worse and worse and worse if we're not careful. The famous Chavetz Chaim, I should remember the Chavetz Chaim story. The Chavetz Chaim himself, at I think 2022, himself got burnt out. And he was very makbid that the boys make sure they go to recess and have breaks. So it's not healthy on a overall general idea that the boys learn too much. And you have to check out where that cause is coming from. What was the next question that you wanted to generalize on, Usher?
So then in general, like when you see from your child like weird behaviors, you're not learning because learning is like a very specific thing. Your daughter
intensity.
You say whether it's a very or you see like again, sometimes parents are also very judgmental. You know what I mean? It could be kids just are more like you want your kid to be have so many more friends, but they'd rather read books. It doesn't mean that they're antisocial. They're just introverts.
Correct.
You love
Correct.
to be so when you see behaviors that are alarming, for example, your child doesn't have friends, or anytime they have a friend, there's a lot of fighting with the friends, or your child, has any of the OCD tendencies, constantly neurotic about something. They're okay. Let's clarify. Let's get even deeper. They're normal. They're functioning. They're in school. They're doing great. Everything is working in general. They went to seminary. They're coming back, and I think here giving this big speech that we should all make sure our kids are healthy, and we don't want this big problem to have grandchildren without married, healthy, stable parents. So you have to get them to help. And they have these traits that we live with them. We know that they either neurotic about certain things or they fall apart when there's something that for marriage is scary, and that's a problem. So now you come out, and again, we don't have the magic answer, but let's just really clarify the problem. If she doesn't get married or he doesn't get married at that ripe age between 19 years and 3 months to 19 years and 9 months, right? Basically, that's it. Because once she's 20, 21, there's already another 3 classes of seminary coming back. So she has about 6 months to get married. If she doesn't get married during the ripe season and you hold her back because you wanted to work on her OCD or her social skills, then you might fix the problem. But on the other hand, you're creating a bigger problem because the girls who are 21, 25, 27 that don't have any mental health issues, they just can't find the shidduch. And there's so many more younger girls. So you might actually create a bigger problem by fixing this. Again, if the person's psychotic, we're talking about severe things, talking about like things that are socially too hard to live with. You might be opening up another Pandora's box. Like, get them married, they'll find a nice spouse, okay, a little neurotic, a little OCD, they'll go for help, don't tell anybody, it's going to be good, and I'll pay for the therapy. I'm just putting out the problem. That's 100%, you know exactly what I'm saying. Everybody knows what I'm saying. This is the problem. So when you have a child that's an antipsychotic and speaking to the wall, it's very nice, you have to live in reality. That's not that's not reality.
Right.
When you have a child that's already like in the world, it's pretty much working, and you have that right time to marry. The guy's coming back from Israel. He's a good bacher. He has a good name, but he's learning 20 hours a day. He can't even talk to a friend. He can't look at someone in the eyes. He's off, but he's enough to get married. And then when they read in the Shidduch, he gets portrayed again that he's a very good bacher, and he doesn't look at it because he's a masmid. So the whole problem is not really even a problem.
Right. So we could go many different ways. No, what you're sorry about? It's your show. You can do whatever you want.
I'm just putting out what the reality is.
So I'm gonna go one way, and after I go one way, we go a different way. I don't know if people know about this idea that's called dating coaches. There's a new phenomenon out there, a dating coach. People ask, what's a dating coach? A dating coach is anytime your son or daughter has a little bit of problem. They look pretty much normal, but they have a little bit of problem. Go to a dating coach. The dating coach will tell them what to do, send them down the aisle. People don't realize that the dating coaches, many of them, are teaching the kids robotically what to do. Call TWA. Make sure you ask her a drink. If she orders a Coke instead of seltzer, it's okay. And basically the kid's not functioning. You're just telling him what to do, right? And this is the topic you're going to ask her about Beis Yaakov, and this is the topic you're going to ask him about which Masechta he's learning and how he likes his chavrusos and what he likes to do in Israel. And it's all planned. You look at their hand, it's all written down what they're going to ask. God help them if they need the bathroom and wash their hands off. You know what I'm saying? Then they're lost. So we have to be very careful with kids that are missing just a little bit, because like you said, Osher, if it's total, not even shaykh, not even close, then the dating coach is not going to help. But these dating coaches help like a band-aid, because they're not teaching the child, or I shouldn't say child, that the man or woman, young adult, bacher. Anyways, they're not teaching them a skill. They're teaching them a band-aid. So the parents are doing their due diligence. Okay, dating coach, it sounds good. And I give parents a lot of credit. They're sending them to dating coaches. I high five for the parents. Fantastic. Really, I'm really proud of the parents. They're sending their kids to it. I'm really impressed. The question is, the dating coaches, what are they teaching them? Right? And then don't forget, when you get married, you're not going to the dating coach. Now you have to, oh no, how do I make conversation? My dating coach only went to the first night of the chasana. Now what? So we have to be very careful. This new thing, I didn't have when I was dating, so I didn't know. There's a thing that the girls and boys, young adults, they play games on dates. Now I understand, Usher, the famous game, the Venus and Mars game, right? I can understand that in a date because it's interesting. But they're playing games because they don't know how to make conversation. And everyone's like, oh, that's so sweet. He brought a game. Yeah, because he doesn't know how to make a conversation. So we have to be very careful, being aware of, we can't fool ourselves. If our sons or daughters are functioning with, I'm just using an analogy, 80%, figure out what the 20% is, and let's get them the real help they need. It could be a dating coach. There are good dating coaches out there. I'm not saying that. But again, I'm going back to the idea, what are the goals? Are they helping the individual learn the goals? Not telling them what to do and go do it. Are they learning skills and goals that could be applicable on the dates and for life? Or they're just telling them what to do. Again, parents have to ask when they're coming back from the dating coach. One of the best things out there is if a parent comes back from, I know it's not always so easy, because not every boy and young woman want to tell their parents what a dating coach says. In theory, is to ask, what'd you learn? And if they can tell you what they learned in detail, with insight, with examples, that's fantastic. That means they took it and they can apply it. If they say, well, I should call TWA, I should look up if the weather is good or not good so we could go to the park or not, then what you just did is your kid went to a dating coach and didn't learn anything. And on the date, the boy or girl is going to think it's fantastic. You know, the other thing that we have to be very, very careful about, by the way, and this is something critical, is that the girls, I feel horrible for the young ladies, because when they go out, they have so much to say. Because unfortunately, like you were saying before, the girls have this pressure to go out, hopefully get a date, hopefully get married, and they have so much to say. And a lot of the boys are like, and the girls are just talking, right? The boys have the shuckle, you know, and the girls are, you know, and it comes the first night after the chasana, and the girl's like, oh, so, you know, what's going on? Nothing. What? Because the girls didn't check out beforehand. Does the guy initiate conversation? Does the guy ask questions? Is he flexible in his thinking? Is he polite? Does he value my opinions? Does he add on to the conversation? Does he express himself well? Does he provide details? And vice versa. Does the boy look for the girls? Is she easygoing? Is she flexible? Does she appreciate my opinion? Does she have to have her opinion? When they date, people should be looking into the dynamics. It's critical. Into dynamics. Very, very important to our parents after a date. Sit down with the boy and girl and ask them, what did you like about him? Why? How did he present? How does she present? What factors did you like? And if the dynamics are weak, then we have to say, okay, what's going on? Not that you should break up the shidduch per se, but let's figure it out and let's work together so that we can continue the shidduch. If it's a good shidduch, it's no problem. But we have to be aware ahead of time. Most problems don't come, oh, look at that. It came the day after the wedding, a week after Shar Brachas. Just popped up the problem. Most of the problems were there beforehand. And that's what this whole conversation is about tonight. For us to be honest with ourselves, to be aware of what to look for. You know, the Rebbeim also, the Rebbeim have this thing. I'm not saying all Rebbeim, I'm not making a klal. Some Rebbeim have this idea where the girls have issues and the girls will say, dynamically, he's this, he's that, he's a little bit quiet. The famous line the Rebbeim say, he's never been around a girl before.
Oh, one second. Pause.
And they say,
pause. I want to just jump into the next question because that's exactly the question. This is more geared to the Chassidish, but also the literature boys who's never around the boy. Don't all boys learn on the job how to interact, especially in my community. I'm Chassidish. How do we know when it's a social issue or you just need to learn how to interact with a girl?
So first of all, before they even sit down for a b'shah or for a date, parents have to be honest, because when a mother, you know, when a kid's 13 years old and the mother says, how's your day? And the kid goes, good. That could be developmentally normal. But when you ask your 18-year-old, 19-year-old son, who's hopefully healthy, how was your day? Good. That's no longer healthy. That's no longer development. At 18, they're starting to get more comfortable sharing themselves. And parents will say, wait a second, why is my kid always answering one word? Never asks me about myself, never shares about themselves, never joins the conversation, adding information.
So mentally confident. He's so good.
But this is, we have to be aware and notice things. People can't just be a robot when they date. Parents can't just be, okay, we have to ask the question, how much are they giving per month? And do they have a white tablecloth? Great, let's do the shidduch. Who's the person their kid's dating? We have to do our due diligence beforehand, because the other side, like you said before, and Coach Menachem said before, that people are not going to be always honest, telling you ahead of time, hello, we have issues. Are you okay dating with us? So we ourselves have to protect ourselves. And we can't just assume what Rebbe says, no, go out. It's going to get better. Don't worry. Marriage is going to fix it. Especially if you bend over backwards and do everything a person needs, marriage will work out just fine. But if you want a healthy relationship, it doesn't just work out. The Rebbeim have to be honest with themselves. The Rebbeim have to realize also, just because a bacher is a good bacher doesn't mean he's a good husband.
Where do we get this training?
I'm sorry?
Where do our girls and boys get this training? Talking about self-awareness, emotional intelligence, open communication. This is like, do the schools give it?
This is my Hanukkah wish list.
I'm saying
no. But what it is a conversation, Coach Menachem, that we got to get parents. It's got to be the parents that push the schools to say we need the machanachas, we need the mashgiachim to start looking into each kid, to asking questions to the kids. It can't just be on the parents. Baruch Hashem, parents are trying to pay the bills. Parents are trying to raise kids, and they're doing a very good job in this society. It's a very hard thing. Everyone, Rebbeim, principals, teachers, everyone has to have an achrayus for each child.
Rebbeim don't have time. They're busy.
I'm sorry?
They're busy teaching. There's 25, 35 kids in the class. What?
You know, the famous Gemara, right? That you're not allowed to get paid to teach Torah. So the Gemara asks, so what do they get paid for? To teach, to make sure the boys are all healthy. So I'm just saying, it's a Gemara. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just sharing an observation. That bottom line, Coach Menachem, the bottom line is there's no easy answer. There's no easy answer. But we have to say, what can we do better? Everyone has to take what can we do better? You know, can I have a better relationship with my kid? As a teacher, can I have, listen, I'll give a shout out to my father. My father's been a Rebbe for 40 some odd years. Can I know her? Everyone I know, the reason he's still a fantastic Rebbe, because he goes out of his way to have a connection to each kid. So I've seen it. You can't talk. I've had Rebbeim that reached out to me. We were talking about WITS earlier today with Mr. Miller, right? That he helped out. The Rebbeim at WITS, they weren't getting paid millions. I could guarantee you they were not getting paid millions. But they had a connection. The schools I went to, we had connections to our teachers. They knew exactly what we were doing right, and unfortunately also knew what we were doing wrong, and they called us out on it. So to say that teachers don't do it, there are plenty of fantastic teachers out there. It's not in the curriculum, it's true. But Coach Menachem, we gotta make people aware. The teachers have to say we gotta be aware of our kids. Call up the schools. Can you do me a favor? Can you check this out on my kid? Call up the yeshivas and Eretz Yisrael. Where's my kid holding? Is he showing up for Shachris? Is my daughter doing well? Where are the questions being asked? That's the key. We need to ask, and the answers can't be superficial. Because if we don't know the data, we're not going to get help. We don't get help. God help us all.
Amen.
I'm sorry. This
is a general comment. Like a lot of people, like I want to say, I mean, there's a shadchan texting me, a few shadchanim, but like it's very like in our world, like we have the shadchan which really tries to sell the couple. They don't really know either side. They know the boy for 5 minutes and the girl for 10 minutes.
Fantastic point.
Shadchanim that do it as a living, not people that know people. And then they turn to the people on the list, which is all their friends and neighbors. And also,
that's a great question.
Calling me from the list, like I'm a little bit honored that they put my name down. So I'm definitely gonna, make sure to say the right thing, leave out right there, And then like we're putting ourselves in such a difficult situation. You know what I mean?
It's a very good point. I
understand my personal observation. Like people that need to find like information. You call the Rebbe that really knows the boy, or you call the teacher that was the teacher that really knows it for 5 years. I don't even friends. I find that friends sometimes try to just for their friend, they have more allegiance to the friend than you. You know what I mean?
It's a fantastic question. I don't know what to answer regarding shadchanim because they're overwhelmed. It's a job. It's getting paid. They're trying to make it.
I found this very complicated. When I took my child to shadchan, that meets a lot of people. They sat with my child for 5 to 10 minutes. I mean, it's very cute, but they sat with the boy for 5 to 10 minutes also. So you're making a shidduch with somebody that you sat with 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm not understanding the whole concept.
They're relying on you. They're relying on you to do research.
So they just have a boy's name and a girl's name?
Ideas.
And then you're supposed to call their friends on their list and say, by the way, you're on this person's list, Mr. Chaim. Is their daughter mentally retarded? Oh, no, totally normal.
Don't be so direct.
Arsha, it's a fantastic point when you're bringing up because the shadchan do this, and everyone's. This is such a hard topic because we all try to get our kids married. And
so when somebody comes up, he says, "I know this girl. She's my neighbor. I know her for 10 years." It's somebody that has a relationship that's seen. That's not a shadchan. That's it could be she's a shadchan, but she knows the person. But a lot of shadchanim that we know today sat with the person less than 20 minutes. And is reading them, your child that you put 20 years of money, energy, blood, and sweat is going into this lady or that met the other person for 20 minutes. It's almost like a little ridiculous.
Crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know what to answer you because Rebbeim and teachers and parents, everyone has day-to-day access to the student, to the individual. I don't know what to tell you. It's the chassan teachers and college teachers like we were talking about before. They have access. They have time. Shadchanim, I don't know what to answer to you. they just want to go. It's like they're doing the Groundhog Gruff. You know what I'm saying?
The Shidduchim should continue because we need the Shidduchim to make phone calls. Everybody wants the phone call should ring. That's very important. And
yes, correct.
What we have to do.
One second. I want to bring this up. There's actually a Shidduchim texting me. I want to bring this up. It says, don't discourage Shidduchim. We need many more Shidduchim read. So just clarifying, we need a whole day Shidduchim read. And everybody should read Shidduchim. What I'm trying to say is that when people innocently go to Shachrin and the Shachrin opens their mouth and says, he's a great boy, she's an amazing girl, A, don't say that because you don't really know them. And B, even if the Shachrin tells you that, just understand the Shachrin really doesn't know the person, just on a very minimal surface level, probably lower than a person that met them in shul, because that's when you're getting dressed up and that's when you're getting pretty. And that's when you're looking normal. So yeah, definitely. But understand, Shachrin is just giving you a name. It's just like opening a phone book. There's no. Oh, the Shachrin said this is a very good girl. Like, take it easy. That's all I want to clarify.
Actually, I will tell you, there's one Shachrin I know, and she specializes in people with illnesses or second marriages and so on and so forth. I gotta give her credit. She doesn't take more money. She sits and calls me for each person I send her. She sits with each client for an hour. Each client, well, clients I send her. There are Shadchanim out there. I don't want to say everyone. Your idea, it unfortunately is a pattern.
People want to have that Shadchanim's list, the people that deal with this.
Correct, but there are Shadchanim that are, and this particular woman that I'm thinking about is fantastic. She follows every step of the way. But again, this is the one that I know. I'm not going to say her name because she's going to get too many phone calls afterwards and she's going to yell at me. But so my point is there are Shadchanim out there that do give time, but unfortunately it's a very, very, it's a vicious cycle. Think about it. Everyone wants to get married. Shadchanim want to try their best to help out. Everyone's trying their best, but it's all moving so fast. No one's like, wait a second, who's this person? What's this person? It's a hard question. I don't know what to answer. The most important thing is I feel the pain of the boy and girl who want to get married. I feel the pain of the parents. These are all hard questions to ask. There is no simple answer. We're talking tonight, us three, having a conversation, and there is no real easy answer other than the truth is that there is hope if parents and people chip in to work with each individual. That's the bottom line. People have to realize there is hope.
I'm just gonna add that all we're doing is a little bit of ishtadlus, and the rest, take out your sefer Tehillim, because at the end of the day, you might know your neighbor, or you might not know them. There's stories on both sides.
I want to put a twist onto what you're saying.
But I just want to, we just have to remember that there's only so much that we can do, and the discussion tonight is the ishtadlus that we're doing, whether it's mental health, going for help, speaking to your Rav, doing the research.
Which I don't want to scare anybody, but I want to just capitalize on what I'm not saying.
You might scare somebody.
With all this and with all the shtadlus and doing everything right, there's another point that we're not mentioning, which is beyond control. That sometimes people do end up getting mental illness or different issues later on.
Yeah, there's plenty of cases we have where someone's 40 years old and they develop something. They've been married 20 years and out of the blue, nothing. It just happens. Usually, statistically speaking, males develop schizophrenia and bipolar much earlier, anxiety, all that. 18 to 25, girls a little bit later. But it can happen. 35 years old, 40 years old. And what do you do then? You already have 5, 6 kids. You already have a marriage. The husband could be it happens. That's a very, very, very hard. The whole family has to chip in and work together to figure out, one of the things I was asked before is about kids. Can we go there for a second about what happens if parents, if one of the spouses, or actually one of the parents have a mental illness? And the question is, what do we tell kids? So I'm not a big fan of telling kids lots of things. The less, the better. The truth, the better.
Making sure the question they were putting out there is, if somebody's married to somebody that has Asperger's or some type of social disorder, and the kids are of age and unrecognizing or they're embarrassed.
Right.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about.
So let me start off with this. Do not use your kids against your spouse. I have to tell my kids the truth. Are you telling the kids the truth to help the kids or to help yourself feel good about yourself? It's a question to ask yourself. Every time a spouse does something, you have to be honest with yourself. Why are we doing it? I have a lot of spouses that are bitter because they ended up with someone with a mental illness that they were not told about. And they have every right to be bitter. Got it. But you have to also be honest of, do I need to drag my kids into it as well? which I know is a whole different topic that Coach Menachem and Usher will talk about, I'm sure, a different time, of kids and mental illness, that their parents have mental illness. It's a fantastic topic, but it's not about just for right now. So, number one, be honest with yourself. Why are you doing it? Number two is, you want to tell your kids what's going on if they themselves are being affected by it. If they're not being affected by it, they're happy, go lucky, they're still like their tati, they still like their mommy. There's no reason to drag them in. Again, I'm just talking in generalization. There's always specific cases, but in general, you don't need to bring a kid in. Number two is, if the kid says, hey, how come Tati never asks me questions, or Tati never does anything for me? Because you're talking about autistic, and we know that the statistics says that 3 out of 4 autistic individuals, so it's males to females, fine, so we're just going to use the word males, is that Tati never does this, Tati never does that. Yeah, then you want to talk to the child. We don't want to just talk to the child and lay it out for him. It's their father, Kid Rav Ain. You have to be careful. But you do want to tell the child that Tati has something. This is what happens. You know, maybe Tati and you can work together. You do want to help the child so that he could find a way to work with his father, but you don't want to smash the father at the same time.
Just to add to that, many times people they want deny. They don't want the kids to know about it. And when the kids grow older, they feel it. It's something you can feel. And you rather sit down and let the child talk about his feelings, what's going on. He should have at least one spouse, a parent that they can talk to, and the parent listens and says, you're right, it's a challenge, and let's try to figure this out. But just to, deny, you're being such a good spouse, and you want to make sure your kids don't know about it. They feel it. So
Right.
they're, yes, to open it up a little bit.
Right.
I want to
I know we're
did a few shermans. I want to mention it was a big push. There's I forgot the name. What was the name of Menachem of the people that do the premarital therapy? Remember there was a lady in Florida, Penina. Yeah, there's a few people that are very into this. Oh, the guy we had from New Jersey, what's his name? The guy from PSyD. He does premarital therapy. He was excellent. Remember Menachem? We came on the show. I just want to bring up that there is a big push today from a few therapists, and we actually had a shir with them. I forgot their names off the top of my head, but I can look it up. We'll mention it next time. That they promote this healthy people, not healthy people, everybody. They go to the 5 therapy sessions before marriage just to learn communications. It's that premarital therapy. It's not really about any post things you went through. It's not really to diagnose you. It's just really teaching boys and girls how to have the normal communication skills. Yeah, EFT, right. Somebody just texted me. Yeah, EFT therapy. They just teach them the skills of EFT, how to just communicate, understanding what he wants, what he's saying. You know what I mean? So
not just the 5 love languages?
Not just the 5 languages, right.
Like
a real chassan shmooze, in the real one.
Now we're talking. We're talking. By the way, I know we're ending in a few minutes, but I do want to share one story.
Oh, no, we're gonna get there. Save it. Save it. Relax.
Sorry.
Okay. Let's just do one more question and then we'll go into the closing segment, okay? Just an interesting question. Basically somebody wrote in there, they're dating somebody and the person opened up to them about it. And I think this is, I'm going to change the question a little bit. You're dating somebody and the person opens up that they have some type of depression, this and that. Whether you tell your parents, you don't tell your parents, that's whatever. I'm not going to get into that. But Lamaisa, how do you know if this is something that you want to get, you're excited, you want to get married, everything is good and you feel good, but they're telling you they have some type of, they take anti-anxieties or they do this or and like, how does a person that's already like past the first date, right? I'm talking to the 18-year-old, the 20-year-old, the 25-year-old, not the parents. They're dating somebody and then the person was told or is generally opening up about something private about themselves, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want to tell your parents, okay? I mean, maybe you should, but if you tell your parents that the person I'm dating is on medication or suffering from depression, your parents are going to go off the wall. You see he's a great person or she's a great girl. You already have that exciting, infatuation that you want to marry the person. How do you deal with that? How do you navigate that? Maybe I could really deal with it. Okay. He suffers from anxiety. Not a big deal. You're 19, you're 20. That's what I really want to ask you. Talking to the young mind.
So listen, I'm a big fan of kids relating to their parents. So I don't want anyone to take my next statement incorrectly because I believe parents.
If I tell my parents, that means for the next 50 years, they know something personal about this person that I'm going to be married.
100%. I'm about to say something. I don't want any parent listening or will listen, because I know how many people go on to Coach Menachem afterwards. So in case they listen afterwards, that parents and kids should have a good relationship, open, honest relationship. At the same time, parents should not feel hurt if their kids need to go to somebody else sometimes, because dynamically, like Arsha, like you were saying, sometimes it's better off to ask a Rebbe or a Mora or someone that you trust a question that's not involved, like you said, because if we're going to get married, I don't need my parents to always think, oh, she's sleeping because of this reason, or she's not doing that because of that reason. They come into the chuppah with a negative connotation about my wife, who I'm looking for. I'm okay with it, and they're still pulling on it. So yes, I'm a big fan that if an individual, parents need to be able to trust their child at 18, 20, 21, that if there's a question and they go to somebody else, but they should tell their parent, I think, that things are going on, but I have Rabbi so-and-so, Rebinson so-and-so, Dr. or Mrs. so-and-so helping me, that the parents should be okay if it's not everything's to them, because that means the parents are too controlling. A kid needs to have an outside person, just in general, who they could go to, because otherwise you're telling the child to be forced to tell their parents everything. You have to trust the kid to some extent. They're getting married, so it's important that that there is somebody outside, and parents shouldn't be insulted. If a parent is insulted, that's something they need to work on, because a child has to have confidence and a confident outside the marriage to talk about certain things. You're not going to bring up intimacy with your parents. I don't think, I know some parents are okay. You can talk about everything. I know, like, certain things, boundaries, social boundaries are good. If a parent says that, I always tell the parent to come in and we'll talk. But you need to be able to be comfortable and confident as a parent that if your kid's speaking to somebody else, it's not because they don't like you. It's because certain topics are more comfortable, or certain topics, there's a strategy why your child's going to somebody else.
Okay. Let's go to the closing part of the segment. There's a lot of questions for the people that didn't get to the questions. I'm sorry, but I'm tired. But we'll do it again. So first of all, great shkoyach to Dr. Doni Hollander coming on tonight, giving tremendous chizik. It's a very multifaceted topic that has a lot of points. There's no magic answer, but just talking about it and bringing up all these points is half of the problem. Just to talk about it, we need to conquer that half. How we deal with it, separate issue. Not always is an answer to every single thing. Again, if you want to join our WhatsApp chat, you can WhatsApp me at 732-314-1710. I'll send you the link to for the community chats. You can go to menachembernfeld.com, sign up for the emails, and every week Menachem sends out the emails of the speakers and the replays. Again, if anybody's here the first time, every Sunday night at 9:30 on the Zoom ID. We have different topics. Please help spread the word. Next week, we're going to have Dr. Shimon Russell on May 26th, talk about crisis chinuch. And it's a very important topic.
People should turn in. He's good. He's very, very good. People should tune in.
Rabbi Russell and I, we had some shiurim that went so viral that it changed actually some moistus. He actually got calls from around the world from schools. So we go back very far. We have a long relationship with him. But yeah, he's very good, and hopefully that should be very meaningful. Please join. It should be very something important. And if anybody has any questions, everything's recorded on menachembernfeld.com. If anybody has any questions for Coach Menachem, you can email coachmenachem@gmail.com. Tonight's share is recorded. If anybody wants to watch, you can go to obviously menachembernfeld.com. If you want to watch it on YouTube, you can watch it on Koloshin. All the podcasts will be there. If you want to listen to it on the phone, it's share 185. We have a phone number 732-305-9011. It's 732-305-9011. If anybody wants to get in contact with Dr. Doni Hollander, what is your home address, your cell phone, and your social security number?
My bank account. No, sorry.
Just the routing and the bank and the account. We don't need any other information.
That's it. That's all. We're done.
Is there an email or something if somebody wants to contact?
No. Email Doni Hollander, DaniHollander@AOL.com.
Oh wow, they still exist.
AOL.
Yeah, well, right. So Doni, your name, Hollander@AOL.com. Email him if he can get to you. Hopefully, respond to you. Again, thank you to all the advertising sponsors, Lakewood Scoop, Eliana, 5 Town Central, Chaylik out from JCN. I'm going to say closing Menachem, and then we're going to leave it to Dr. Doni to wrap it up with some really powerful things. So I'm just going to say tonight's topic, when we spoke about what we're going to speak about tonight, I was very blown away. We're doing this for a long time. And I feel like tonight's topic is one of those topics that Klal Yisrael, we've dealt with a lot of topics in Klal Yisrael, but I feel tonight's topic is one of those topics that we all know. We see the problem unfolding in front of us. And even though we see it, we know it, we still continue down this road of trying to get our kids married, trying not to make a big deal out of mental health, trying to just push things. And it's like in a certain sense, we see also so many explosions happening and so many stories happening. And Baruch Hashem, like I told Dr. Hollander, I feel like in the past, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 years, the acceptance of therapy in the mental health in the firm world has gotten so much better than before that. It was such an embarrassment to have a therapist. I think today most people are pretty open or at least comfortable with it. I don't think it's a busha the way it was many years ago. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I feel. And we have to, really address the issues, and we have to make better for the future generations. We can't keep on living in this dysfunctional cycle of just pushing these things. And there's so many, I'm not involved in this world. I'm not a therapist. But I just see so many marital issues coming up. There's so many problems, and some things, again, like I said, some things are not avoidable. Some things are what they are. People get sick, but we have to try our best and do, like Menachem said, the shtadlis, to try to do everything right. Doing things where is going to basically go against you and say, don't worry, Hashem's going to help. It's like, it's not Hashem's going to help if you're going to jump off the roof and say Hashem's going to save me. That's not the mahalach. So the point of tonight was really just to talk about these very tough topics. And like I told Dr. Hollander, he's dealing with this many, many years. And Baruch Hashem, he was the right guy the shliach to really discuss it. And hopefully from this, a lot of things will come out, and people at least will have the awareness, at least will get the therapy, try to address the issues, understand that if we're having this year with hundreds of people over here, it's probably over 1,000 people that just came here tonight, and 10 to 50, 100,000 people listen to it. It's not one person's issue. It's a big percentage of people have this issue. So be honest with it. So I'm just going to make a joke. Like, you're finally trying to marry your kid, you find off, Baruch Hashem. And then you find out later, you think you got duped. Wait till you figure out what you got. Like everybody's trying to outsmart. But if we work on it together, you don't want to outsmart anybody. You want to really help your children, and you want to help your future in-laws, whether it's your daughter or your son-in-law. You want them to be happy. You want them, you don't want to hurt them as well. So you're going to get that wedding. You're going to get the nice shaver brachos. You get the beautiful flowers, very nice flowers, by the way, very nice. But you're not gonna, you're gonna be dealing with a lot of problems afterwards. So it is what it is. But shkoyach, and then I'm going to turn to Coach Menachem, and then to Dr. Hollander. Menachem.
Shkoyach, Dr. Hollander, very informative information. I think the first thing that we learned tonight, the skills that we're learning is not to have anxiety. And if you're in Shidduchim, or if your kids are in Shidduchim, take a deep breath. And
Sure.
We got some information. And like we heard, Hishtadlus, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mezavig Zevugim. And we all see it. Not everybody maybe agrees always what Hashem does. It might be a little bit hard. But, Hashem does everything. And we need some Amunah B'tachon over here. But yes, tonight we discussed Hishtadlus. We're discussing Hishtadlus, and we're just playing the game. And tonight's question was how to play the game. What do we need to do to play the game right? What does Hashem want from us? So yes, we're opening up some ideas, things that people might not want to look at, might be hard. But there is help out there. There's ideas. Don't sit and say, no, this is how it is, and there's nothing I can do. No, go out there, have the conversation, whether it's before, after. And even for those who are healthy marriages, go find somebody to talk to, how you can make a marriage even better. Isn't that amazing? If that becomes the norm, so even those who struggle, so I believe everybody has their things. She wants this, he wants that, and we're not the same. There's no two the same. We could all do better. So let's have the conversation. Let's do it and make it the norm, so that we can all benefit from it. So my bracha is Hashem should help us all. Hashem, our shidduchim, our kids, everybody out there who needs shidduchim, Hashem, it should go easy with the shtadlis that we need to do. It shouldn't be so hard. Yes, it's a can of worms, but take a deep breath, and hopefully, Hashem, you'll find a way. Hashem will show us the way. Hashem.
Yeah, Danny, before you go to your closing, somebody listen. Do you have your chat open, Danny? You can see the Zoom chat, or no?
I don't see. No, I don't see any
He's
Zoom
focusing
chat.
on you.
What?
He's focusing on you.
Okay.
Usher, you're all that matters to me tonight. For the last 2 hours, it was just you. What can I tell you, friends?
So you can
at
let
the
him know
moment,
that people are saying that they loved it and they want you again.
I wanted you to see on the chat what people are writing. That's what I wanted to see.
That's not the goal. The goal really is, that's probably all my family. My wife probably got everyone to this, like, type in. The goal is we're going to make a difference. That's the goal.
Okay, Dr. Hollander, let's go. What are we wrapping? We spoke today for 2 hours. What comes to your mind? What's the feeling that you want to leave? Everybody's going to listen
I
to
must share everyone with I have, Baruch Hashem, Bli Ayin Hara, I have so many good stories to share. And I don't know where to start because I've had parents, I've had Rebbeim that sent kids to me when 16, 17, 18 years old, and they came every week and they worked on themselves. And it's not just me, my colleagues also. I don't want people to think that I'm not that good. I'm only as good as the patients were. Baruch Hashem, I get good patients. So, it's successful, not because I'm successful. And I'm telling you, I'm telling everyone out there, there's bracha out there. Just because someone has an issue doesn't mean we can't help them. And, I had one kid that came into me, he's 18 years old. He was a junior. So 17 years old. And the Rebbe said his social skills, rigidity, everyone's thinking, right, autism. Correct. And he came to me for 2.5 years. He went to Israel, came back to me. His parents were fantastic. Today, you would never know he has autism. Today, he's successful. Today, his wife calls me up and tells me she's in love with him. I'm not that good. This guy was awesome. My point being, if we work together and everyone's open to things, we can do this and we could change Klal Yisrael. I want everyone to know something very, very important to me. Yes, I know everyone's involved with diagnosis, personality disorder, eating disorder, borderline personality disorder, autism. Can we make someone functional? Can we make them social? Can we make them love another spouse? Can we make them feel good together, grow together? Forget the diagnosis. We don't care about the diagnosis. We care, can we help the individual? And I believe the answer is yes, many, many times than we think we can. As long as we start early and we join forces, we work together. There's a big brother, there's a big sister, the teachers, the parents, psychiatrists. Yes, it might be lax, it's true. But there's hope. And I want everyone hanging up tonight realizing, I want everyone to realize tonight that we can change and it could be very, very successful. When your daughter and your son walk down the chuppah, you can be proud beyond belief where they came from.
Wow. What a closing. Okay, thank you everybody for joining me. We'll see everybody next week. Dr. Hollander.
No way, awesome. Everyone should realize Coach Menachem, Usher, fantastic people. Listen to them all the time. Fantastic.
Go ahead.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
I gotta give you guys a plug. You are. I'm saying,
Yes, man.
it's not often I come onto the show and you guys are just like chill. We were talking for a half hour. People don't know. It's just like fun. It was just, they walk you right in. It's fantastic. And by the way, Coach Menachem is awesome. Always hopeful.
That's right. That's why we're here. If we're not hopeful, what are we going to share? Just get
That's
something.
That's it.
Okay,
From
so
day one,
have a great week, successful week. I'll talk around. We'll see you next week. Menachem, Russell. Everybody have a great night. Take care.